Hello and welcome to lesson 54. This is fractions and decimals on the number line. Now, do you remember the number line? That goes way back to like lesson 2 at the beginning of the year, and I have one drawn up on the board. A horizontal line. I have arrows on both ends to show that the numbers keep going in both directions, and then I put little dash marks, and they call them tick marks, T-I-C-K, tick marks, to show the value in between certain numbers. Now the first number I have up here is 0, okay, that's none, right? And then I have tick marks all the way over to the number 1. In between, I have 10 unit segments. That's the space between the tick marks. Remember the unit segments? So basically, from 0 to 1, if you were to hop along the tick marks, it would take you 10 hops to get all the way across. Okay? Anything below the 1 is not a whole. Right? Anything below that 1 is not a whole. It's a fraction, or like we've been diving into, a decimal number that represents a number that's close to getting to 1, but it's just not quite there yet. Okay? On your homework tonight, it says use the number line, like the one I have up on the board there, and label the points and then write the numbers in order from least to greatest. Okay. The easy part is writing it from least to greatest because everything over to the left is smaller than anything that's over to the right. Correct? So as long as you get them in order, then you've already drawn them in least to greatest. So let's label some of these. The first one it says is 3/10. That's a fraction. Okay? Well, there's 0. And that's a whole, that's 10/10. So all you need to do is hop to 3/10. So you're at 0, 1, 2, 3. This is 3/10 of the way across. Then the next number is 1.0. Well, that's 1 whole and 0/10. So this 1 represents 1.0. That's the whole. And then it says 0.8. 0.8. Now remember 0.8, there's no whole number, but there's 8 in the 10th place. So you need to go back a couple spots. This is the 9th place. This is the 8th place. So put 0.8 right there. And the last one, they try to trick you. It's the fraction half, 1/2. Okay? Now, it's not a 10th, right? A 10th would be easy. You just count how many over, and it's not in decimal form, so you can't count over to the 10th spot, but it's simply half. Here's 0, here's 1. Halfway between is half, right? So here's 0, here's 1, half in the middle would be half. Okay? It's also 5/10, right? Halfway between 5 and 1 and 10, 0 and 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be half. Now it says you also need to put them in order. Well, these 4 purple numbers here need to be put in order, and the farther you go over to 0, the closer you are, the smaller you are to being none. So these are smaller. So 3/10 is the smallest. Then half would come next. Then 0.8, and finally 1.0. That's all they're asking you to do when they ask you to put them in order from least to greatest. Let me just do maybe one more thing. How about number 6 and 7? Now 6 and 7 have a number line similar to the one drawn here, but notice after 1, right here, the first tick mark after 1, they have a letter C. And it says, what fraction represents C? Now they're trying to trick you here because, as you noticed before, you've always just done tenths. Okay? But now you're going over a whole. So you have more than a whole now. So it's 1 and something. It becomes a mixed number. And the same thing happens when you go past the 2 or the 3 or the 20. You have 20 and 2/3 or 20.4 or 20 and 4/10, different things like that. Now you have 1 and something. Well, we know because we're going into tenths that you could keep this pattern in tenths. Okay? So what fraction does it represent? Well, it represents 1 and 1/10 because it's only one hop all the way. So one hop out of the whole 10 hops that could have possibly been there. So 1/10. 1 and 1/10. Do that 1 and 1/10. And then number 7 says what decimal? So how would you write the decimal 1 and 1/10? We have one whole, so that goes over to the ones column, and then you only have 1/10. So the 1 would go in the tenths column, so 1.1. And that's number 7, but it can be written 1.1 for number 7, but I put an equal sign there just to show you. Remember, 1 and 1/10 is the same thing as 1.1. It's just a different way to write it. All right, if you have any questions regarding putting numbers on the number line, we're going to be, you very much need to understand how fractions and decimals are related. And so if you're confused on any of that, come and see me, and I'd be glad to help. Thank you.